Good day, everybody. So I realized that the last video I just recorded on my way here, that maybe the reason people aren't that interested in freedom is because in most people's minds, freedom is inextricably linked with government, and in a sense it is. But for the libertarian mind and for people like me, freedoms are axiomatic. That is, they exist despite government. They are natural. Rights are natural. They're not derived from government. They're enumerated by government. Can't speak here. They are codified into law by government, but those laws are predicated on the axiom that these freedoms exist of their own. They exist part and parcel apart from government, and that it's government's role to recognize those freedoms and create a doctrine of law or create a set of laws around those freedoms. And that's where I think it's lost on people, because they, in particularly in Canada, where we have looked at rights as something that are tangible things as opposed to the intangible. I'm not really explaining myself very clearly. So I guess rights are axiomatic. Rights exist apart from government, not freedom in and of itself. Freedom is a byproduct of those rights as acted upon or as enumerated by government. So because you have rights, you are free to do things. And that freedom is recognized by government predicated on those rights. Does that make any sense? I don't know. I'm probably being very, very vague. So when I think of rights, I think of negative things. I think of the negative right, not the positive right. People think that, well, healthcare is a human right, education is a right, these sorts of things. Without any real justification. These are things that are provided for, or these are things that are promised by rights you already have. But people look at, because of, certain phrases that are parroted by politicians and political pundits as, for instance, healthcare being a right. Well, the problem with that is, in order for you to have the right to healthcare, you have to have the right to command someone else to provide something for you. Whereas, from the libertarian point of view, your rights are essentially to pursue what it is you wish without being molested or interfered with. And that includes healthcare. I look at healthcare as a service that I have a right to seek out. I have a right to try and get through regular market means. Market being mutual agreement with another party to provide me with that service. I have the right to pursue that. I have a right to go and try and get health care. I don't have a right to have it provided to me. But that's where I think the disconnect is, because most people view it as rights are positive things. Rights are things that are guaranteed to you by a government body as a provider. And I think that's why people don't care about rights. I think that's why people don't care about the negative rights. They don't care about things like, your right to associate with who you want to associate with, the right to express yourself the way you want to express yourself, the right to seek products, to seek services and not be interfered with, the right to keep and own property. There's a YouTuber, political commentator from a few years back, and whose name escapes me. I can't remember his name for the life of me. But he prided himself on being what's called a minarchist. A minarchist is someone who believes in minimal government, minimal rule, right? So he's not an anarchist. I guess you qualify him as a libertarian. But he would engage in this thing called the Socratic interview method. So he would ask questions of political leaders and different people in a Socratic manner. So sort of a philosophical manner. Man, I can't speak today. Anyway, so I touched on this in the live stream with Irving the other night. But one of his questions that he asks of people, which I think is a really good question, but it requires some thinking, is can a person bestow rights upon someone that that person doesn't himself possess? Can I give you a right that I myself don't have? Now, when he was interviewing Bill Richardson, governor of New Mexico, former governor of New Mexico, Bill Richardson, he either feigned ignorance or didn't know what he was talking about, or maybe he just isn't that intellectually deep. When you think about that question, what right can I bestow upon somebody that I don't have myself? Well, really, you can't, right? Not morally, not being intellectually consistent or philosophically consistent. Jesus Christ. It's the old age, folks. I'm sorry. So, for instance, I have the right to speak my mind. You have the right to speak your mind. I have the right to express myself. I have a right to my religion, or lack thereof. I have a right to, go about my day-to-day business unmolested, not interfered with. I don't have the right to walk up to you and demand you give me money, right? I can request money. I can request that you provide me with something, but I don't have the right to demand it of you or threaten you with force to get something from you. I don't have that right. So the question is then, how can that right be bestowed upon government, upon a police officer to take your property on my behalf? So essentially what, this minarchist guy is saying is taxation is theft, and it is. When you think about it in those terms, when you think about it as you possess property, that you have a right to that property, and in this case, property being money or assets, and nobody has a right to take it from you. However, people who don't have the right to take things from other people have empowered certain people to take those things from other people on their behalf. So that's why when people say, democracy shit, that's where it comes from, because basically the majority can vote for somebody to brutalize the minority, is what it comes down to. There's an old a phrase that democracy is 2 lions and a lamb, or 2 wolves and a lamb, voting on what to eat for dinner. And then the further point of that is a republic is a well-armed lamb, is a lamb with a gun, right? Yeah, I think that's where the disconnect lies, in terms of when I say that people don't care about freedom, people don't care about rights, in the sense that they're not willing to fight for them. I think it comes from the fact that people don't view rights the same way that I do, or a lot of people who are freedom-minded do. See, for the libertarian and the minarchist and the people who believe in small government, rights and freedom are inextricably linked. To the statists, to the people who, either are too lazy or too afraid to fight for freedom, rights are the province of government. Rights are bestowed upon them by government. And I think that's where our fundamental disconnect is, with people who are okay with lockdowns, people who are okay with vaccine passports, people who are okay with mask mandates, and people who are okay with bullying people who have a problem with it. It's our biggest problem, the fact that libertarians and people who believe in freedom and people who want to, advocate on behalf of freedom and rights are in for a battle, are in for a very difficult argument, a very difficult conflict with people who think the other way. Anyway, that's 2 videos in one day. I hope you guys appreciate that. I'm just about home now. I'm going to sign off, and I'll talk to y'all later. Take care. Bye-bye.